Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome back to the Red Mist podcast with me, Seshadri, and welcome to Raw Reactions from Fulham versus Liverpool at Craven Cottage. If you guys are new to the show, if you guys don't know what Raw Reactions are, it is basically a segment of the podcast where I record my reactions live from pre-game, from halftime, and at full time, and then I compile them into one full episode and put them up on the podcast. But yeah, we're here for the Fulham game, and can I just say before I get to the lineups, I am very proud of myself because this is the first time in this is match day number 12. So in 12 match days of the Premier League and 6 of the Champions League, so we're talking 18 match days. This is the first time that I've got every single member of the Liverpool starting lineup right in my pre-match predictions yesterday, which, by the way, if you guys did miss the preview episode, do check that out. No, it's the episode right before this. But yeah, I'm very proud of myself for that. Yeah, it's not a big achievement, I know, but it's still something. But yeah, Fulham versus Liverpool, like I said in my pre-match preview, should be an easy win on paper for us, but obviously football is not played on paper. We are going into this game second in the table behind Tottenham Hotspur, who are currently drawing 1-1 with Crystal Palace, just showing you that there are no easy games in the Premier League. So Harry Kane gave them a lead in the 23rd minute, but Jeffrey Schlupp just equalised in the 81st minute. It's 85 minutes now. Time's running out. We'll see if Jose Mourinho's side can pull out a victory before the final whistle blows. But if that is the case, they go ahead by 1 point. But we do have this game in hand, which obviously we're going to be playing right after against Fulham. And, that could potentially send us top of the table going into the game on Wednesday against Tottenham Hotspur. So either way, it's a 1 versus 2. The only question is who's 1 and who's 2. As of this point, the odds are in favour of Liverpool. But again, like I said, we haven't played. And in the Premier League, until you finish the game, you can't predict the result. You just can't. But yeah, let's have a look at the hosts lineup. As per tradition, we always start with the other team, the opposition. So today's lineup for Fulham is going to be Alphonse Areola in goal, Joachim Anderson, Bobby Decordova-Reid, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Tosin Adarabioyo. Obviously, I'm reading these lineups out in terms of the number on the jersey as opposed to sort of any formation. So Bobby Decordova-Reid, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Tosin Adarabioyo, Ivan Caballero, Mario Lemina, Ademola Lookman, Andre Frank Anguissa, Anthony Robinson, and Ola Aina as well. So pretty expected lineup. A couple of changes from what I predicted and what they had in the last game. They also have updated their Twitter account to say that Mitrovic has picked up a minor knock in training, which is why he's not on the bench either. And we'll get to their bench in a little bit, but he's not in the starting lineup. To be fair, he hasn't been in the starting lineup as much. But that being said, he's not in the bench on the substitutes lineup as well. So yeah, it's going to be a difficult game for them. Honestly, it's a huge challenge. It is. They're going to be on the back foot for most of the game, but they'll want to try and hit Liverpool on the counter. Liverpool can be beaten. They are a little bit vulnerable at times, and they'll want to take full advantage of that. But honestly, I don't see Fulham having the strength of squad to be able to do that. I do think that at the end of the day, Liverpool on paper this should be an easy win. But that being said, Fulham have not played midweek. We have, and maybe that's bound to have some sort of an effect on the players as well. In fact, Mo Salah played 100 minutes against Midtjylland, so that's bound to have some sort of an effect. Speaking of Mo Salah and the Liverpool lineup, we're going to take a look at our lineup. Alisson comes back in goal after a couple of impressive performances from Craven Kelleher, but obviously, when Alisson's available, Alisson's going to start. It's also good for him to get these 90 minutes under his belt before the game against Tottenham. You don't want to throw goalkeeper straight into a game of that magnitude, obviously. So Alisson is going to start in goal. Trent Alexander-Arnold will start at right back. Joel Matip and Fabinho. And yesterday I said there were doubts about Andy Robertson starting because he wasn't pictured in training. He is starting today. I did say in my preview episode I do expect him to start. It might have just been a fact that he needed some rest and he was given the training session off. So Trent Alexander-Arnold, Joel Matip, Fabinho, Andy Robertson is our backline. So pretty strong backline in my opinion. Matip and Fabinho are really starting to come into their own as a centre-back partnership. And if they can get a consistent run of games through December and maybe help keep a lot of clean sheets, then, that's only going to increase their confidence. And, it'll obviously help cement Matip's place in the side. And, hopefully he's not as fragile as people make him out to be. But yeah, that's our backline. Gini Wijnaldum, Jordan Henderson, Curtis Jones, all playing in the midfield. Jordan Henderson, I would expect, would be at the number 6, even though nominally it looks like Wijnaldum's been the player that's been named there. I do expect Wijnaldum to go forward, contribute in attacking phases of play. And to be fair, like I do also expect Henderson and Wijnaldum to switch places quite a bit. So, don't be surprised if there are times when Wijnaldum plays the 6 and Henderson's the one going forward as well. Curtis Jones, he's had a very impressive season so far. For me, personally, I think he's been, I guess, the breakthrough player of the year for me, aside from Diogo Jota, obviously. But Jota, we knew he was kind of an established player in the Premier League. So Curtis Jones is his first sort of proper season, and yeah, he's making a mark definitely. Definitely got the talent. Now it's just time for him to prove it week in, week out in the Premier League as well. Gives us an option for midfielders, and that's an area that has been affected by injuries a fair bit. Maybe not direct injuries to the midfielders, but the fact that Van Dijk is injured is forcing Fabinho to play at the back, and that it's sort of having a ripple effect on the midfield. So yeah, I am loving Curtis Jones' performance so far this season, and I do think he's going to continue to impress in this game as well. The front three is going to remain the same: Sadio Mane, Mo Salah, and Bobby Firmino. Although, to be fair, I do expect one of these three at least to be taken out for Divock Origi or Takumi Minamino. If we're leading, obviously, if we're leading comfortably. Most likely, I would say that's going to be Mo Salah. So I would expect Mo Salah to get taken off and possibly Minamino to come on as well. In the meantime, we've also got Keller on the bench. We've also got the returning Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. So obviously we said, he's been training since just before the Midtjylland game. He wasn't fit enough for Midtjylland, but he's been fit enough, or he's been declared fit enough for this game against Fulham. So Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain makes a comeback after a long, long while. So that's good to see. I do expect him to get a few minutes if we're leading comfortably, possibly in place of Henderson or Wijnaldum. Jake Kane as well is on the bench. I was really disappointed he didn't get his debut for Liverpool against Midtjylland. Hopefully he can get one here. If again, all this is dependent on whether we're leading comfortably or not. So it's very dependent on that. Minamino, Origi, Phillips, which I'm guessing is Nat Phillips, was a centre back. Obviously, he's impressed in his 2 appearances so far for us as well, and Nico Williams rounds out the bench. So no surprises there, apart from maybe Jake Kane being in on the bench. But yeah, no surprises really. As far as the game goes, how do I expect it to go? I expect Liverpool to dominate possession. I expect us to be on the front foot for most of the game. The only thing I'll be concerned is the second half, because we will be forced into substitutions. There'll be a few injuries that we need to take care of. So I think for me, it's key that we get goals early. And it's key that we establish a good lead so that we can just take the second half of the game a little bit more relaxed, just keep the ball, just rotate possession, and try and just rest a few players as well. Hopefully take Mo Salah out before 70 minutes at least. And, just basically I expect this game to go one way. I don't think Fulham have what it takes to beat Liverpool. Of course, you can never rule out surprises. And you can never rule out Fulham putting on a defensive masterclass. So you never know. You just never know. Fulham come into this game, like I mentioned in the match preview. They are coming into this game 17th with 7 points. Burnley are just below them with 6. Burnley does have a game in hand though over Fulham. So potentially that's if Burnley win that game in hand, they could potentially go down into the relegation spot. Fulham will. So yeah, it's going to be. It's all to play for. I think Fulham know that they'll need any point they can get. And, if they can get 1 against Liverpool, that's a bonus. If they can get 3 against Liverpool, that's more than a bonus. But that's pretty much all for the pre-game segment of Raw Reactions. Predictions, I expect Liverpool to win comfortably. I would say 2-0. I think 2-0, and then we just take the foot off the pedal pretty much. But that is it from me from pre-game. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I will see you back again for halftime, hopefully with a good solid lead and a good performance to go with it. And then, we can build on that, and I'll see you again at the end for full time. But hopefully you guys enjoy the game. And I'll see you. All right, ladies and gents, it is halftime from Craven Cottage. And honestly, I mean, my words are going to come back to bite me, isn't it? Yeah. 1-0 to Fulham. If you guys didn't know, the goal was scored by Bobby Decordova-Reid. I think it's Bobby Decordova-Reid. It's definitely Decordova-Reid. I don't know if it's Bobby Decordova-Reid. But yeah, I mean, look, honestly, Fulham deserved the lead. We've been playing with the coordination of a 2-month-old baby. Um, no idea what we're doing. No idea what we're saying. Our defense looks slow. Our defense looks like it's recovering from a hangover, which I don't know what hangover you're recovering from. Clearly, playing midweek against Midtjylland is having an effect, and I wonder if there is a goal scorer from the bench that we can call upon. No, of course there is not, because Diogo Jota is out for 6 to 8 weeks apparently, according to Jurgen Klopp. So we're looking at Diogo Jota coming back by February. Totally on him, and I'll get to that at full time because that's a whole other thing. And I've already spoken about it in previous episodes, but I'll get to that at full time. But here's the thing: this half was all Fulham. They started the game out well, and I thought, okay, you know what, 5-10 minutes, fair enough. They're gonna do well. We're gonna take a little bit of time to settle down. Craven Cottage, not an easy place to play. They've got fans there as well now, so yeah, not an easy place to play. And to be completely honest, I was like, okay, 10-15 minutes, and then it's going to be a Liverpool show. What it actually turned out to be was the Fulham show. I mean, they were all over us. We couldn't string two passes together without a Fulham player intercepting it. Like, it's absolutely insane to think how ineffective we have been, to think how absolutely we look like a Sunday league team, even worse than a Sunday league, because I played on a Sunday league team and even we don't play that badly. All we're looking for in the first half is one long ball up front and then, hope for the best. It's literally long ball and inshallah. And yeah, this is ridiculous. We've been absolutely done for by Fulham, and deservedly so. I mean, even if they didn't get the goal, Fulham were the better team, and they did get the goal. They deserve the goal. Like, this is the one game, aside from the Aston Villa game, I think, where I would definitely say they don't, they're not undeserving leaders. Like, this wasn't a goal against the run of play. If Liverpool had gotten a goal, that would have been against the run of play. Couple of incidents there. So the first one I want to talk about is VAR. Fabinho won the ball right inside, sort of near the goal line inside our box. And it, to me, on first thought, it looked like a corner. To the referee, it looked like a corner on first thought. And then, we obviously, we saw what, we saw that there was a potential foul involved, that maybe Fabinho got the foot of the attacking player. I don't know who. I think it was Loftus-Cheek. I might be wrong. That he had got the foot of the attacking player instead of the ball, and it turned out to be, I think he got both. I think he got the foot and the ball, but it was definitely not clear and obvious for VAR to overturn the decision. And honestly, I'll be very honest, when the referee pointed to the monitor, I was scared, because when a referee points to the monitor, he's going to overturn his original decision. But for me, when he came back and said it's a corner, I think my faith in VAR was restored a little bit, because, and I'm watching the replays right now, you can see it from one particular angle. He clearly gets the ball, and I think the attacking player's footing, he just loses his footing. So in the end, he just falls down, and it's a corner. I think the corner is a correct decision, no doubts about it. Would have been unfair if the penalty was given, and Fulham took a lead through that, and I might have had a few words to say about that, but definitely the right decision. But coming now to the goal, it's just ridiculous. Look, the people will argue that there may have been a foul on Salah, but the phase of play had changed after that, because Salah gets fouled. I don't know who. I think it was Anderson who wins the header, and Henderson. The ball comes out to Henderson, and then Henderson loses it, or Curtis loses it. One of the midfielders do. They lose it, and then again, it's that loss of the ball, and it goes to even Cavaleiro, and then Cavaleiro finds the pass, which Decordova-Reid puts it into the back of the net. So the phase of play had completely changed. So for me, that's, if you're going to give a foul for the original one, fine, fair enough, but it's a very questionable thing, because Salah did play act. Let's not be two ways about it. He got pushed, and then after that, he just sort of threw his arms up in the air, like as if he was going to fall or something. Like I thought that was play acting and not really necessary, and probably worked against him. Maybe if he didn't do that, maybe Even if it had been given, it would have been a very, very soft foul, to be completely honest with you. So, yeah, I'm not too mad about that. And let's be honest, Fulham deserve the lead. Like, Fulham absolutely deserve it. And, this is the sort of game that Liverpool should be winning, especially on a weekend where Tottenham drew with Crystal Palace. So, this is a game that you should be capitalizing on. You should be sort of winning this game, going into the next one with a psychological advantage. But clearly, we're not up for it. And I don't know if the boys know about the Crystal Palace Tottenham result, but if I'm Jurgen Klopp, I'm first of all giving them a rollicking for the way they're playing in this game, and I'm telling them, Jose Mourinho's side are title challengers, and any sort of you know upper hand that we can get against them is going to be really good for us. And if we can win today, we go 2 points clear of Tottenham at the top of the league. We go into the game at Anfield at the top of the league with a chance to make it a 5 point gap, which is invaluable in these times. A 5 point gap against a title rival is invaluable. So for me, I if I'm Jurgen Klopp, I am emphasizing on that fact. I don't. It's just ridiculous, isn't it? Like this game. Fulham just thoroughly deserve it. Like I have no words, which I have no words to describe. It's just awful. Like where do you even start? Like I could go player by player, but apart from Allison, who's been absolutely insane, including that one-on-one save that he had, which right at point blank range. Of course, it was offside, but if it wasn't, it was a brilliant save, and he saved us a couple of times as well. I think Cavallero had a couple of chances which Allison saved, and there were a fair few chances where Allison was solely responsible for keeping us in the game. And for me, aside from him, where do I even start? Like everybody else looks lost. Even Andy Robertson, who you can rely on for game after game to give us a good performance, even he's not doing well. And I mean, I'll be perfectly honest. It's Fulham deserve their lead. I've said this over and over again at halftime. It's just awful. There's no idea except for the last few minutes. That's what gives me hope going into the second half. The last few minutes, Liverpool, for the first time, we looked like Liverpool. And I'm talking maybe the last 5 to 8 minutes of the first half, including injury time. That was when I thought, okay, we take this into the second half, and I'm sure we can win. Because till then, Fulham's defense looked impenetrable. And there's no way that Fulham I had this thought that there's no way that Fulham were going to sustain that for a full game. But on the other side, I was like, okay, they've done it for one whole half or nearly one whole half, and they'll be motivated now that they have a goal as well. So maybe the adrenaline can just help them get through this and do this. But the last 5 minutes give me some reason for hope. And hopefully we can build on that. Hopefully we can make sure that we can convert some of these chances into a goal. Salah did come close with that first time volley that he had of Trent Alexander-Arnold pass. Took it really well. I think he thought he was closer to the near post than he actually was. So I think for me that was a little bit of a missed chance. I think Salah could have easily put us 1-1 if he had sort of gone towards the far post. Not an easy thing to take a volley first time. He did his best, but at least there was a spark. There was sort of some hope for us. But I'll be very honest. First half, based on the first half performance, Scott Parker and his team absolutely deserve to be in the lead. I'm not going to say this is as bad as the Aston Villa game, because Aston Villa, we were just it was like we hadn't trained, and it was just 11 people just thrown together on the football pitch for the first time. That was literally Aston Villa. This isn't as bad, but it's close. It's close. Like if I had to rate our second worst game of the season, I'd probably say it's this. I think we're playing worse in this than we did against Atalanta as well in the Champions League. So yeah, for me, first half is in the books. You can't do much about it now. Fulham are leading. And deservedly, but hopefully the last 5 minutes we can carry that momentum forward in the second half, come out with a couple of goals, at least with one goal, at least just get a point out of this game. I said I hate Craven Cottage at the start in my preview episode, at the start of this episode as well. I said I hate Craven Cottage. I still hate Craven Cottage. It's just one of those pitches that I just absolutely hate. So for me, yeah, I'd say I'd say just carry this momentum forward and hope for the best, and hopefully we can get 3 points and go top of the table. But because this is honestly a chance that I don't think we can miss. But yeah, that's it from me from halftime, and I'll see you back again at full time. Full time, hopefully not this disappointed with Liverpool. I don't even want to attempt player ratings at this point because I think pretty much everyone's a 1 out of 10 aside from Allison. So yeah, I don't want to even attempt that. But yeah, hopefully we can. I'll see you back again at full time with good news and 3 points, and hopefully we're top of the table. Right, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, it is 1-1 at full time. Mo Salah with the equalizer from the penalty spot after Fulham took the lead in the first half. So that's a little bit of a brief summary for you. But the game itself, the second half was much, much better, honestly. We responded to whatever Fulham did in the first half by bringing on Takumi Minamino. Or at least that's what I thought until the commentator said Joel Matip's gone off for Takumi because Matip has a sore back. I mean, we just can't catch a break, can we? Diogo Jota gets injured. I mean, that one's purely on Klopp, okay? Let's not, beat around the bush. That one's purely on Klopp. Because honestly, Diogo Jota is a first team player, a regular first team player, if not, at least he's the first person you call off the bench. So for me, if it's that important a player and he's in the form of his life, if he's that important and he's in the form of his life, you don't risk him in a dead rubber. And, you know, he did that. Like, I wouldn't, I've said this on other forums as well. I wouldn't have been mad if Jota had come on for 15 minutes at the end and then picked up the injury because tactically, at least that makes sense. It's just an unfortunate event. But because he didn't, because he started the game and played 87 minutes, that just ruins everything for me. I think this one's Diogo Jota's injury is purely on Klopp. But let's not talk about that. That's a whole different subject, and there's so much to talk about that. But today's game, Fulham played amazingly. Let's just give credit where credit's due. They defended very, very well. And to be completely honest, even if they'd got 3 points out of this game, it would have been deserved. Second half was a much better performance from Liverpool and much better from just purely from two people. One was Minamino, who came on as a sub. You see, this is the thing with Minamino, right? He puts in performances like this, but you give him a start and he doesn't take that opportunity. And these performances are, they're getting better, but it's few and far between for Minamino to regularly, command a place in the starting 11. And part of that is the position that he plays in, because I think he's a lot more effective playing as a central attacking midfielder or a central midfielder who's given the license to go into the final third, which is what he was doing today. I think he's much better playing there than as a direct substitute for Bobby Firmino. And you also got Curtis Jones, who played really, really well today. Had almost a brilliant solo goal, an amazing run, and just in general, the two of them were very active, winning back balls, connecting plays from a defense to attack. Their transition was really good, their movement was really good. Defensively, they did a lot of work as well. So for me, Curtis and Takumi and Amino, absolutely brilliant performances in the second half. I wish the rest of our midfield had done the same thing, but it is what it is. Jordan Henderson had to play the second half as a centre back, although he was given the license to roam around, considering we had a lot of the ball. And he did find himself in a one-on-one with Alphonso Areola, and Areola came up with a couple of really good saves as well. Very, very good in command of his box. Their defense was brilliant, and to be completely honest, the penalty, if it wasn't for that, honestly, I could have seen Fulham taking 3 points. The penalty itself, stonewall penalty to me. Very good free kick from Wijnaldum. The wall jumps up, ball hits the hand. Pretty straightforward penalty for me, no debate there. Mo Salah, keeper should have saved the penalty though. I can understand because it's happened to me as well. I can understand how that went through. But I think on a professional level, you kind of expect that to be safe. But, it happens. Mo Salah is obviously, Mo Salah played really, really well, got the winning goal. Got the equalizer. And overall, I thought he played really well. Nico Williams did really well. He played a really good game. I thought he was better than Trent. I think Trent looked a step slow because of the fact that he's come back from injury and he's played a couple of games as well. So I thought he looked a little bit slow. And I thought Nico Williams did really, really well defensively, offensively. I thought he offered a little bit more than what Trent did this game. Trent just looked lethargic, and I don't think that was his fault. Um, but it is what it is. He looked like he needed a rest, and Klopp took him out as well. I think aside from Joel Matip, he was the first one out. Um, yeah, overall performance in the second half, Curtis and Minamino were impressive. Fabinho was all right. Henderson was all right at centre back as well. Um, Other than that, nothing particularly great. Mane had a couple of moments, Salah had a couple of moments, but generally speaking, and Liverpool, we had the ball a lot of the time, and we did create a fair few chances. Firmino had that one really good pass to Henderson, which set him up. But I really thought this was, you know, you come to an away game, and it's a difficult away game. Let's not get it wrong. Craven Cottage is always a difficult place to go to. And it's the first time in a long while that this game between Fulham and Liverpool has ended in a draw. I think it's the first time in 15 meetings between the two sides that a game has ended in a draw. So, um, yeah, it is what it is. We've got a point. It's a difficult place to come to, like I was saying, in Craven Cottage. And, the rain didn't help. Um, but, these are the conditions that teams have to play through. And fair play to Scott Parker. Fair play. He got his tactics right. And he finally looks like he's figured out what his best lineup is. He's finally figured out what system works for him. And, he'll be hoping that he can carry this momentum on. I think they've got Brighton coming up in a couple of days. And I think if they win that game, that'll be a good testament to how, Fulham, or what potential Fulham have. Because based off of today's game and based off of last week's game, I know they lost 2-0 to Manchester City, but they didn't look bad, even when they did lose 2-0. So I think based off of these two games, Fulham, as much as I predicted them at the start of the season to go down, I do think they have what it takes, especially considering how bad Sheffield have been. I do think they have what it takes to stay up in the Premier League this time. It's going to be a difficult ask, and there are going to be teams around them which will move up and down, and they're going to need to hit a couple of, they're going to need to get a couple of wins. They're going to need to beat teams a little bit around them. But I think they do have what it takes to stay up. In my pre-match predictions, I said Liverpool 2-0, and I even titled the episode saying, on paper it's an easy win, an easy dub. But that's, I guess, images that precede disastrous events. Moving on. Yeah, I thought the Liverpool performance in the second half was more reflective of how we wanted to play. I thought, first half we just never really got out of first gear. And you can't do that in the Premier League. Premier League sides 1 through 20 are, good enough to punish you if you don't get off the blocks really well. So I think the first half, we need to work on it. We need to be better in the first half. I read a stat somewhere that said if, games ended at 45 minutes, we would be about 7th in the league. So we do need to work on how we start games. I think we're a little bit slow, and our away form's not particularly great either. I think we've won 1 out of the last 6, and 1 out of the last 7, including today's games. And obviously that's a little bit misleading because we've had Man City away, Everton away, which aren't easy games. But that being said, and I think we've also had Chelsea away, which was our only win. So it's a little bit difficult. I can't lie, and our away form is not the best. We do need to pick that up. So we're still second in the table, and we didn't lose. And we're still level on points with Tottenham, which sets up an interesting next game. Sets up a very interesting Wednesday for us because you've got 1 against 2. I thought this was a chance that we missed. I thought this was a chance where we could have imposed our will in the game and sort of taken home 3 points from the Fulham game, but missed opportunity. Disappointing performances all around, to be honest. Even Curtis in the first half was not that great, particularly. Second half, he picked it up really well. Minamino, I think, is the only positive that I can say. From the time he came on, he made an impact and he did really well. But other than that, nothing particularly stands out to me. Alisson, of course, I mentioned the first half at halftime. Second half, he didn't have much to do, but whenever he was called upon, he was pretty confident. And overall, I thought Alisson, Curtis, Minamino, I thought these were the 3 best players. The rest of them really need to pull their socks up. At best, they had average games. At worst, they had stinkers, to be honest. But But yeah, I think it sets up an interesting game. We're still second in the table. We're still second behind Tottenham on goal difference. And it does set up an interesting game. Most of the sides around us also have had bad weeks. Aside from Southampton, who beat Sheffield United 3-0. So they're 2 points behind us at this stage. Leicester still has to play. So they could potentially come to within a point of us in Tottenham. So any slip-ups against Spurs on Wednesday, and Leicester could be there to capitalize. Southampton could be there to capitalize. Or even Chelsea, they could be there to capitalize as well. They have a better goal difference than us even. So it's not quite a rosy title challenge that we're looking at. It's not quite a two-horse race that we're looking at like last season. And obviously, not a lot of us expected a two-horse race, to be fair. A lot of teams have had issues. A lot of teams have, and it's just in general been a very topsy-turvy season, and that's kind of expected. And, I was talking about all the teams in and around the 25-point mark, which Tottenham and Liverpool have. We've not even taken into consideration Man United and City. United and City, both of them have a game in hand, and United, if they do win the game in hand, they could go up to 23, and City could go up to 22, which again brings them quite close to us. So it's different this season. It's not the usual Liverpool Man City two-horse race. There's going to be moments like this, but it's games like the next one, and it's every single game really. But it's games like the next one which are going to be crucial. I think we're going to have to beat Tottenham at Anfield, because when we go down to London, we don't know what the result's going to be. We don't know how that game's going to go. So we need to beat Tottenham at Anfield. We need to be beating the teams we need to be beating also. And that includes, obviously, teams like Fulham. On paper, we should have beaten them. But, they did well. I mean, we can't afford to miss these opportunities is all I'm saying. But I'm actually not as angry as I thought I would be at the end of the game. I think on reflection, I thought the second half was much better, and it's just one of those days. I guess Tottenham had one this afternoon against Crystal Palace when Vicente Guaita had probably the best game of his life, of his Premier League career, and I'm not saying Areola did the same thing against us, but I just thought we were lethargic. It's just one of those off days, I think. Hopefully, it is one of those off days, and this performance does not repeat itself on Wednesday or in any other games to come this season. But that's been raw reactions from me for today. A little bit mellow, I guess, compared to what you might have expected, but it is how I feel, and it is what it is. Fulham won, Liverpool won at full time from Craven Cottage. Yeah, I mean, disappointed that we lost 2 points in this game. I thought it was there for the taking. But, fair play to Fulham. They did well. They deserved a point at least, and they got what they deserved. That's the end of the episode. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for all the support on the podcast that I've got so far. Thank you for, still listening to my voice. I assume, if I had to listen to my own voice for about how many ever episodes this is, I think this is episode number 41, I would probably get tired. But like I said, thank you for the support, and but you can get this podcast wherever you get your podcast from. That includes Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, etc., etc., etc. But that is it from me. I will see you back again for previewing the Tottenham game. I'll have a preview. I'll have a Raw Reactions episode followed by a post-game episode with a guest as well, someone who's been on the podcast before. But until then, I will see you guys next time. Stay safe, stay well. Goodbye.